Welcome once again to New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players' Patterpalooza project and another Patter Bite. I'm founder and artistic director Albert Bergeret. The Sorcerer was the first collaboration by Gilbert and Sullivan to dabble in Gilbert's fascination with the supernatural. In the title character, Gilbert combines the typically English and respectable middle-class tradesman with the absurd notion of a purveyor of occult magical products and services. This businessman's catalog is rattled off at breakneck speed, making this patter song one of the most difficult feats of elocution represented in the canon, and an engaging challenge for any patter performer. Here to demonstrate this tongue-twisting exercise in singing and acting is James Mills as reliably respectable shopkeeper John Wellington Wells.
My name is John Wellington Wells. I'm a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses and ever-filled purses and prophecies, witches and elves. If you want a proud foe to make tracks, if you'd melt a rich uncle in wax, you've but to look in on the resident gin number 70 Simmery Axe. We've a first-rate assortment of magic, and for raising a posthumous shade, with effects that are comic or tragic, there's no cheaper house in the trade. Love filter, we've quantities of it, and for knowledge if anyone burns, we're keeping a very small profit, a prophet who brings us unbounded returns. For he can prophesy with the wink of his eye, peep with security into futurity, sum up your history, clear up a mystery, human proclivity for a nativity, for a nativity. He has answers oracular, bogey spectacular, tetrapods tragical, mirrors so magical, facts astronomical, solemn or comical, and if you want it, he makes a reduction on taking a quantity. Oh! If anyone anything lacks, he'll find it already in stacks, if he'll only look in on the resident shin number 70 Simmery Axe. He can raise you hosts of ghosts, and that without reflectors, and creepy things with wings, and gaunt and grisly specters. He can fill you crowds of shrouds and horrify you vastly. He can rack your brains with chains and gibberings grim and ghastly. Then if you planety changes organity with an urbanity full of satanity, vexes humanity with an inanity fatal to vanity, driving your foes to the verge of insanity. Barring tautology, in demonology, electrobiology, mystic gnostology, spirit philology, high-class astrology, such as his knowledge, he isn't a man to require an apology. Oh, my name is John Wellington Wells. I'm a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses and ever-filled purses, in prophecies, witches and elves. And if anyone anything lacks, he'll find it already in stacks, if he'll only look in on the resident gin number 70 Simmery Axe.
Welcome, James Mills, and great rendition of elocution and tongue-twisting lyrics. So, James, what was it like to sing John Wellington Wells?
You know, it's one of the most challenging songs, I think. You and I have spoken about this in the past. It's challenging because it's not only an introduction song, as I know last episode with Steve, you were talking about the Judge being an introduction song and introducing himself and why he's there and how he came to be who he is. Well, my name is John Wellington Wells starts exactly the same way, but then it starts another convention that we tend to find in the Gilbert and Sullivan patter song, which is a list song. And so it's not only this is who I am, but this is what I do, this is what I have, this is what I sell, this is what my trade is, and it's just list. And I think that's one of the hardest things about it is the committing it to memorization.
But this one is really just a list of products which actually, of course, don't exist.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing for this character who's he's a tradesman who deals in this very real world of products of sorcery. And so the audience immediately is taken in by this this topsy-turvy twist in a real shopkeeper who sells magic.
What was different about what things we had to go through to record this particular song in video as opposed to live on stage?
Performances on the stage need to be bigger and need to be broader and more grand. Whereas on film, you need to bring things down a little bit, and we have to keep checking each other. Okay, maybe not gesture this big because, oh, now my hand just went out of frame, so keep it down here. And that changes your performance from, in a very interesting scale. So I think it was fun, but it certainly wasn't easy.
Well, which brings into mind how to balance the musicality with the getting across the ideas through words.
Yeah, well, I have a very personal relationship with the Patter song that deals basically with just what you're saying. I went to school for acting. I was an actor. And I've always been a character actor. I was the kid in school who, in the play, always played the old man. I just did. And I always had the funny accent, and I always did the silly little dances. And so when I started singing, it was in college, and I came to it so much later. So finding that the world of the Patter song, which is like this balance between singing and just telling a story rapidly, it's this like fabulous little combination of the two.
A microcosm of all aspects of performance.
Yeah, and it is a balance. You're absolutely right. Certain roles are easier to sing, and then other roles you really need to speak them on pitch, or you can't get that articulation out.
In our last iteration from trial, that particular Patter song was written for Sullivan's brother, but John Wellington Wells represented the first performance with D'Oyly Carte that was particularly a unique situation. Why don't you give me a little bit on what that was about?
Well, again, a personal relationship to this. It was the first George Grossmith role. Yeah, George Grossmith became the most famous of the Pattermen in the original D'Oyly Carte productions of these shows, directed by Gilbert himself. And so it's very interesting because a lot of these characters tend to be portrayed as older men. And George Grossmith was actually younger than I am when he played John Wellington Wells, right, at the age that I played it. And I remember being written up in a review that this reviewer thought that I was too young for the part. And I was just thinking, this character's ageless. John Wellington Wells can be any age. Right. He's not a father figure like the Major General or a politician like Sir Joseph.
It's just very important that he's respectable.
Yes. He takes his job very seriously. It's a family business, and he's going to keep it that way. Yeah. So it's fun to think that George Grossmith and I have been roughly around the same age in creating some of these characters. Him for the first time, and me now for my first time.
I should mention also that James is also our video director for this project, so he's working with me intimately on all the aspects of what we're doing here.
John Wellington Wells has a lot to sell, and the way Sullivan said it is very interesting because, yes, it does have verses, but Sullivan didn't set all the verses to the same kind of music, and it is, in fact, a rondo, which is a form in which the theme keeps coming back. So it's A, B, A, C, A. And that makes it very unusual as a Patter song. Also, the difference between the judge, which we just heard last week, harmonically is not very advanced. However, he gives John Wellington Wells a lot of very interesting harmonies, especially when he's describing all the spooky things, the creepy things with wings and all that. Those harmonies are very interesting. It's not what you expect harmonically from a Patter song. And then it goes back into the normal patter. And the way James does it is so spectacular, all those words, but not just the words and his impeccable sense of timing, but every pitch is clear. And that's one of the things I admire so much among the many things that I admire about James. You could take dictation from those pitches, and they're not easy to sing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Patterpalooza Project, an exploration of Gilbert and Sullivan patter songs and the people who perform them. On behalf of New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players, I'm Albert Bergeret, and we hope to see you next time for another classic Patter Bite.
Barring tautology, in demonology, electrobiology, mystic gnostology, spirit philology, high-class astrology, such as his knowledge, he isn't a man to require an apology. Oh, my name is John Wellington Wells. I'm a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses and ever-filled purses, in prophecies, witches and elves. And if anyone anything lacks, he'll find it already in stacks, if he'll only look in on the resident chin number 70 Symberiac.